Auctions, the royal heritage, expensive cars, and a little of Diana herself. It almost feels like we're in a Mission Impossible film sequel and we're really not complaining. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a certain royal possession that made headlines later last week. We'll be talking wealth, the royal family, and automobiles all jam-packed into one. Before we give more of it away, let's get started. First up, did you hear what Princess Diana's Ford 1985 was sold at? Fair warning, don't try and guess the figure, you'll fall short. Trust us on that one. Allow us to get into what went down. Diana, the Princess of Wales, 1985 Ford Escort RS Turbo Series 1 was up for sale at an auction, and lo and behold, it did no disservice to the royal name. In fact, the motor vehicle was sold for a whopping 730,000 euros, that's 857,712 American for perspective, on August 27th at the Silverstone auction this year. The final figure for the car also includes a buyer's premium of 12.5%. Not too shabby, eh, mate? The amount may seem like a lot to you, but you don't even know the half of it yet. The figure 730,000 euros, in case it slipped your mind, breaks the previous record for Escort sales, which stood at 63,000 euros. That mighty little has-been record was obtained by a white 1985 Ford Escort RS Turbo S1 sold at an auction last year. People really do spend money as if it grows on trees, don't they? Wonder when I'm finding a tree like that. Anyway, that vehicle was regarded as collector quality and had less than 15,000 kilometers on the engine. Does that make it okay? More on this wasn't even the first time. So for those of you who don't know, this wasn't the first time that a royal motor vehicle was sold at an auction this way. A little birdie tells us that the Ford Escort Ghia that Prince Charles gave Diana as an engagement gift was also put up in auction and was sold for 47,000 euros last year. But unlike the Ford 1985, it was rather obviously sold for less money in this transaction. Ford Escort Turbos are regarded as modest economy vehicles and cost around $10,000. So why did this one in particular receive an offer that high? Coming up, what's so special about this Ford 1985? Normally, the line Ford Escort Turbos are vehicles that don't cost that high in the market. In fact, on Bringing a Trailer, the two most recently advertised cars of the same line did not even sell. That'll give you some perspective, alright. So why did this average run-of-the-mill, humble vehicle get tagged with a price that high? Well, according to Arwell Richards, a classic automobile expert with Silverstone Auctions, this mean machine seemed to check a lot of boxes for a lot of people. Although he claims to have sold a number of vehicles with royal ancestry, this vehicle was just different. Arwell went ahead to add that when it comes to history, uniqueness, condition, and mileage, early Ford RS vehicles are extremely popular on the market, but obviously that is not enough for it to be auctioned off like this, right? What set this vehicle apart was that perhaps it was uncommon. The car, some would argue like Diana herself, was somewhat of a misfit, and hence quite interesting. Still confused? Let us explain. So basically, the royal cars that typically go up for sale are Rolls Royces or Range Rovers, complete with the stamp of royal ancestry. So the car in question turned out to be the best specimen of the working class hero sports hatchback. That, coupled with such heritage, the auction was bound to make some noise, and that it sure did, and more. Next, Princess Diana with her one-of-a-kind transport choices. Y'all already know that instead of an economy-level automobile that two from a US manufacturer, the majority of royals at the time traveled in, well, Bentleys, Aston Martins, and Jaguars. The work, you know the drill. That obviously made the late Wales princess's mode of travel, quote, the most daring choice of the class-dividing motor car by any member of the royal family since. Yep, the record still stands, folks. All we have to say is, iconic. We always knew that the princess was bold, but hey, we just keep finding out more and more. Let's talk a little about the hatchback. Diana's black hatchback had blue pinstriping, only 24,961 miles on the engine, and an ownership history that included RS Owners Club documentation, maintenance recipients, newspaper clippings, glossy photos of Diana using the car, like we said, iconic, and vintage registration forms. It was offered at no reserve by the UK auction house. That's not all, there were documents from Ford verifying the replanting of the registration number, which is customary for vehicles that were once owned by royalty, pulling all the stops, obviously, but that's still $857,712 we're sorry we had to. All this made us curious about the buyer naturally, but it seems they're keeping that information under tight wraps because the only intel they would attest to was that the buyer's British. Interesting. Up next, let's put things in perspective for you guys. Alright, now we know the number game isn't everyone's cup of tea, and we can keep throwing figures at y'all and you might go, oh my god, but we're not going for that right now. We want a full, mind-blown reaction from you guys, so we're gonna take a different approach. We're gonna be talking about 5 of the most well-known vehicles ever sold at auto auctions so that you realize what playing field you guys are currently playing on. In the realm of auctioneering, a few auction houses have long enjoyed a sort of aristocratic reputation, and while practically anybody may purchase a wide variety of used, auction, and salvage cars through RAW2K, purchases of some of the most well-known vehicles in history have frequently been a little more exclusive. So let's talk about those. Coming up, the 1955 Gullwing Coupe by Mercedes-Benz. You don't have to be a lifelong motorhead to appreciate the beauty of the Mercedes-Benz Gullwing Coupe. God knows we aren't, and we truly do, because it is without a doubt one of the most recognizable and priceless cars of all time. But one man most certainly did manage to pin a price on it. In the 1950s, Clark Gable paid $7,295 for his brand new Gullwing Coupe, a figure that is equivalent to almost $51,200 today. And Diana's Ford 1985 was sold at 730,000 euros this year. There simply is no comparison there. Now let's talk about the 1964 Aston Martin DB5. The Aston Martin is immediately identified as the Bond vehicle because of the way it stole the show when it co-starred in 2 of the most iconic Bond films, Goldfinger and Thunderball, starring Sean Connery. It was constructed by Aston Martin and equipped with an excellent selection of useful technology. Then the Mean Machine was lent to the production team for the period of filming both movies before being eventually recovered by the maker. An actual film star automobile, which is insane. Let's get back to biz, shall we? Jerry Lee, an American radio personality, convinced Aston to sell the DB5 to him in 1969 for about $12,000. It was proudly on display at the company's headquarters, and why shouldn't it? That's not all. The Bondmobile, see what we did there, was sold for $4.6 million. That's 3.5 million euros at RM's auction. Summer sale in London 41 years later, in 2010. Sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? And in comparison, Diana's Ford 1985 was sold at 730,000 euros this year. We're not done. Up next, the 1966 Batmobile. To the Batmobile! We always wanted to say that. Ford sold this 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car to legendary automobile engineer George Barris for the pitiful amount of just $1. Yep, $1 United States dollar. And our guy here started converting it into the star vehicle of the original 1966 Batman television series not long after that. To absolutely no one's surprise, it immediately established itself as one of the most iconic automobiles in history, and on top of that, as a symbol of American television. Years later, at the age of 87, George Barris sold his Batmobile for a whopping $4.62 million at Barrett-Jackson's Scottsdale auction. That amounts to about 3.5 million euros again. Wow, holy moly, Batman! But still, Diana's Ford went for, well, by now we think you know it well enough. Lastly, let's take a look at the Lotus E-Spirit Submarine. This particular Bondmobile gained notoriety in the infamous movie The Spy Who Loved Me. It is most well known for its seamless conversion from bold roadster to the sleek submarine. And like most of you guys already know, tech tycoon Elon Musk paid 616,000 euros for this unique automobile, formerly known as Wet Nelly, at a London auto auction in 2013. It's rumored that Sensi has supposedly set out on a mission to rectify this after learning that it cannot genuinely morph. Surprise, surprise. While we realize anyone else might consider it to be an absurd objective, it also may stand true that if anyone can get it to morph, that'll be Elon Musk. So we'll just stay tuned to find out what happens next. Having said that, even this vehicle was sold at 616,000 euros, while Diana's Ford 1985 was sold at 730,000 euros. Mind blown yet? That's a wrap. What do you think of Ford's auction price? Was it money well spent or just something else? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like and click that subscribe button and we will be back with another video. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one.